mentioned, it's the last day of February, the 28th, but have you ever wondered why this month is the shortest of them all?
Marty's at the Homewood campus of Johns Hopkins University to find out for us. Hi, Marty.
Well, hello and good morning. Santa, good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you're well. TGIF, Professor Matt Roller, the Johns Hopkins University. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming over,
We are
Marty.
in Hudson Hall, classroom 203. Give them your resume real quick. You are an expert in...
I teach Latin literature and language here and Roman history and culture, and that's kind of my world.
And Roman history plays into why this month only has 28 days. Forget the leap year. That's a whole other subject.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. A professor at Hopkins just went, oh, my God. In other words, don't breach that subject. But there is a reason why there's only 28 days in this month, and it is historical, and it has to do with religion.
Religion and superstition about numbers, perhaps.
Perhaps. There's a lot. Tell them basically, we have 20 seconds before the break, about the numbers. What is the superstition?
Right. Well, the Romans thought that an early king, a guy called Numa, whose name is up on this board, arranged the numbers of days in months, and he thought odd numbers of days were lucky and even numbers were unlucky. And he arranged it so that in his calendar every month had an odd number except for February, which had to have an even number because he wanted an odd number of days in the year also. So February got short shrift. And that's an interesting question. Why does February alone have an unlucky number of days?
Short shrift. Did you just say something naughty?
I hope not. Did they beat me on it?
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to find out. Coming up after the break, we're going to expand on this conversation. It's all about superstition. It's the wildest thing you're ever going to hear. And at happy hour this evening or at dinner, you'll be the master of your conversation. Back to TV Hill. We're all in session. We're all in class at Johns Hopkins. You ever think I'd say that or you'd hear that? Dr. Matt Roller, professor of Roman history. When we call Hopkins, by the way, shout out JHU. If you call them and say, we need some help, they're like, we're on it. And they come up with the expert. And I was shocked when they said a professor of Roman history. But it's all about the Romans.
It is, yeah. So our calendar is a Roman calendar. The one that we use every day was put in order more or less by this guy. You're probably standing right in the way, Julius Caesar in 46 BCE. But its roots go way back into the first millennium. And I mentioned before this guy called Numa, who is a kind of an early king and priest guy. He was interested in the calendar. The main thing that the Roman calendar did in the really old days was regulate religious festivals. You need a calendar so you know when to do the right rituals and festivals every year for all your gods. That's one of the most important things about a calendar.
And they were real superstitious.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to this. Here's the mathematic part of this, which is why I thought we'd have a mathematician with us. Not that we're not thrilled you're here, but...
I can still add.
Line of the day so far. If you take any odd number, multiply it by 12, it becomes an even number.
It does, yeah. If you add up 12 odd numbers, you have to get an even number. So this guy, as I said before, he decided that he wanted all of his months to have odd numbers of days so that they'd be lucky and be auspicious. And he set up a calendar where 11 of the 12 months had either 29 or 31 days. But he stuck February with 28 because you have to have one even-numbered month in order for the year to have an odd number of days. And he wanted that.
And if it was an even number of days, it would have been considered unlucky. So one of the reasons we're sitting here on February 28th, the end of the month, March 1st starts tomorrow, is because they didn't want their luck to change.
That's right. So blame this guy. He didn't really exist. He's kind of legendary, but that's all right. We can still blame him for it.
He's legendary?
Yeah. These very early kings of Rome, they're invented. Later people didn't really know the story, so they sort of created, mythical founding figures.
So how many people watching, how many of you men and women watching right now are trying to do the math? Just do 5 times 12. What do you come up with? 60.
I think so, yeah.
There you go. 12 times an odd number is an even number. More on why this is February 28th and the end of this month Coming up next half hour, Professor, you rock, buddy. This is great. Back to TV Hill. Well, hello. We're going to ask a quick question. Dr. Matt Roller, welcome back.
Thank you.
In the condiment race, which one would you be?
Mustard, absolutely.
Okay.
No, mustard. Mustard.
I'd be mustard, too. Okay, we have a quorum.
We can all win.
All right, Doc, let's talk about this. We're continuing, if you're just joining us. Why does this month have only 28 days? And the answer goes back to Julius Caesar?
Yeah, partly. So the old Roman calendar before Caesar had 28 days in February. All the other days I mentioned before had odd numbers of days because that was regarded as lucky. But the whole year only had 355 days. And that's great, except you can see the problem if you want to keep up a solar calendar. You keep getting ahead of the year. So the Romans would have to put in every few years an extra month to catch up.
An extra month?
An extra month.
Four more
paychecks.
Let's look at it in 2025 terms. 4 more paychecks.
And then Julius Caesar came along and reformed this calendar, and he took those extra days and he stuck them into different months so that he got it down to where they only needed to add 1 day every 4 years rather than a whole month every couple of years.
So that's why we have some months with 30, some with 31.
That's right. They were over the kind of whole superstition about even numbers by then. But even Julius Caesar never added a day to February. It was already the shortest month. He left it the shortest month. And the reason seems to have to do with the religious festivals in that month, which all had to do with worshiping your ancestors and making offerings to the gods of the underworld. And the Romans thought that was all very dark and ill-omened and unlucky. And so their idea was that good old King Numa back in the day, he thought, since this is already an ill-omened and unlucky month, we'll just pile on and we'll make it the one month with an even number of days, which is also ill-omened and inauspicious. And so, what the hell? So poor February just got piled on with all the bad news. And even Julius Caesar didn't try to fix that. He just said, we'll leave February. So anyway, we all agree February is a terrible month, right? I'm ready for February to be over. Are you over? Are you ready for February to be over?
I was ready for February to be over last July.
There you go. So Julius Caesar had it
And
right.
by the way, how'd that end up working out for Julius Caesar?
Well, that wasn't why they killed him.
Somewhere along the line it said, come on, we got to talk about Caesar here. Hey, Doc, thanks so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
We really appreciate it. It's a tremendous explanation on this very odd month with a short, even number of days. Again, we want to thank Johns Hopkins University for setting this up with you and putting us in a classroom, room 203, Hodson Hall, here on the Homewood campus. Everybody have a great, safe weekend. K2 and I will see you again Monday. TGIF, everybody.
Indeed.
It's 1,000% the truth.
It is.
It is. Back to TV Hill.
Thank you, Marty. Well,